Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes into Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well, taught us the truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash, Barakatham, and to you brothers, man. And the title of this lesson, the Spirit and Power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, is Don't Be Fooled. Esau Edom is going down along with these other nations, right? Because you see these different summits, them coming together, them speaking on peace, shaking hands. All right. Yet the elect of the nation of Israel won't be fooled. Nor will we be, of the elect. Because on one hand, you have peace talks and coming together and smiling and patting each other on the back. Yet, on the other hand, it's all sorts of warfare and infighting going on. So it's apparent that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is a master manipulator. And the other nations, since they've learned their ways from Esau Edom, they're doing the exact same thing, because they're basically doing the Edomite playbook. Right? These other nations, they're wicked. Okay? They ain't shit. Alright, and they're taking on basically the ways of Esau Edom. Right? They've given up their, different weird customs and pagan gods and, all sorts of weird, idols. They've taken it, and now they want to be an Edomite. Now they want to have a suit and tie, and And see, these other nations, man, they don't got it. They don't got it. They don't have the juice, man. Okay, these other nations, they are not up next. Esau Edom, he's losing his grip on power, and it's not gonna be taken away and given to these other nations. Right? Once Esau Edom slips out of power, we're gonna be stepping into the Lord's kingdom. Right? We're waiting upon the sea hill. WW3, all hell breaking loose. Okay, and then eventually the Lord coming back, so they can sit up and act like, okay, this is just another day. They can sit up here and act like everything's cool. Okay, they trading, and now we know this shit is over with. I'm gonna play some of this video and then get a couple precepts. Lord's will is edifying.
From here for the U.S. I think the most important thing is relationship. It's all about relationship. I have a very good relationship with President Xi and with China. And it sounds like something that doesn't mean anything, but it's everything. In deal making and problems we've solved, the two of us have solved a lot of problems that somebody else would have maybe done very badly with. We've solved a lot of problems over the years. We have a very good relationship. Trade has been very strong. We're getting a lot of soybeans for our farmers. We're doing a lot of, there's a lot of things happening for the farmers. He committed to 200 Boeings, big ones, 777s and 737s, and a lot of big ones, big, beautiful Boeing planes, 200, that's a lot. With a commitment that if they do a good job, and I told this to Boeing and General Electric, we're going to go with the General Electric engines, which are great. If they do a good job, we could go up to 750.
And that's obviously a lot of investment going back and forth. Some Democrats, even some Republicans, had some concerns about Chinese manufacturing on U.S. soil. Is that happening?
Well, if they don't want to pay tariffs, it could happen, just like it's happening with other countries and companies. We have now more money being invested in the United States than any country at any time in the history of the world, including China, which probably is second from about 10 years ago. We have $18 trillion in 11 months, not the 12th month hasn't come in yet, the numbers. We have $18 trillion. If China wants to come in and wants to avoid tariffs, if they build here, for the most part, they're going to be hiring American people. If they want to avoid tariffs, they're going to build in the United States.
Despite concerns about China operating inside the U.S.
We have Japan is building massive Toyota, Honda, all of them. I mean, they're building massive plants all over the country. So if China wants to build for their cars, now, I will tell you, I put 100% tariff on Chinese cars because I didn't want them coming into the country. If you take a look, only because they swamp you, they'll destroy your auto industry, and that's what's happening in Europe. And now they're saying we have to do a little bit like Donald Trump. Europe is being killed. They're being absolutely swamped by hundreds of thousands, millions of Chinese cars, and Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen. They're getting killed. So if you notice, we haven't had that problem. You know why? Because I have 100% tariff on cars made in China.
And even though the Supreme Court ruling, you're going to still continue that tariff?
The ruling was just on a specific type of tariff.
And you're going a different route.
Correct. I have the right to do the same tariff in, frankly, a little bit more complex way, but it's actually a better tariff. It's a more stringent tariff.
I want to ask you about Iran and AI, but China made clear that Taiwan is very important to them. And after your first meeting here, President Xi's spokesman put out a statement to the media, through the media, saying this: the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-U.S. relations. If it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Otherwise, the two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. You were still inside the meeting when that came out. That sounded almost like a threat. Was it communicated that way behind closed doors?
No, it wasn't, not at all. But it has always been their most important issue. And it's not a takeover. They just don't want to see this place, we'll call it a place because nobody knows how to define it, but they don't want to see it go independent. They don't want to do it. And I think they probably would do something pretty harsh, and then they would be met harshly, and bad things will happen. No, it's not that. We talked, by the way, last night, we talked the whole night about that issue. I think I know more about Taiwan right now than I know about almost any country.
You think it dominated the talk?
It's always been his most important thing from the day I knew him years ago. I've known him now 11 years, 12 years. It's always been the biggest thing for him, Taiwan. Now, with me, I don't think they'll do anything when I'm here. When I'm not here, I think they might, to be honest with you.
So
I'm not sure that they do anything if it remained as is. But they have somebody there now that wants to go independent. Well, it's a risky thing when you go independent. You know, they're going independent because they want to get into a war, and they figure they have the United States behind them. I'd like to see it stay the way it is. And I'll tell you something. I'll make a little news. I'd like to see everybody making chips over in Taiwan come into America, because to be honest with you, I think it's the greatest thing you can do, because it's a heated situation. There's no question about it. And as you know, we have massive amounts of chip companies now from Taiwan already coming in. We expect to have 40 to 50% of the world chip business by the end of my term. And I think it should be even more than that. I think all of those chip companies, if they're smart, they're going to start heading to Arizona and the places where they're building. That's going to solve your problem.
Should the people of Taiwan feel more or less secure after your meetings with President Xi?
Neutral.
Has the policy changed at all?
No, nothing's changed.
U.S. policy?
No, nothing's changed. I will say this. I'm not looking to have somebody go independent and, we're supposed to travel 9,500 miles to fight a war. I'm not looking for that. I want them to cool down. I want China to cool down.
But you're waiting on approving billions of dollars of weapons for Taiwan.
That's right.
Is that
I'm
moving forward?
Well, I haven't approved it yet. We're going to see what happens.
What are you looking for?
I may do it. I may not do it.
Yeah, what's your hinge point?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I may do it. I may not do it. But we're not looking to have wars. And if you kept it the way it is, I think China's going to be okay with that. But we're not looking to have somebody say, let's go independent because the United States is backing us. You know.
So President Xi probably liked that you haven't approved the weapons to Taiwan.
I would say like is maybe too strong a word because he thinks I could do it with just the signing of my signature, unlike Biden who couldn't sign his signature. No, I'm holding that in abeyance, and it depends on China. It depends. It's a very good negotiating chip for us, frankly. It's a lot of weapons. It's $12 billion. It's a lot of weapons. But, you know, when you look at the odds, China's a very, very powerful, big country. That's a very small island. It's, you think of it, it's 59 miles away, 59 miles. We're 9,500 miles away. That's a little bit of a difficult problem. With all of that being said, you know, if you look at the history of Taiwan, Taiwan was developed because we had presidents that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Because if they would have put tariffs on chips coming in, they would have never left. Everything was about Intel, and everything was about our chip companies. They stole our chip industry. So I've said that for years. I said, you know, for years they stole our chip. If we would have had one of our presidents just say, we're going to put 100% chip. You can leave, you can build in Taiwan, but you sell it back into the United States. We're going to put 100% or 200% tariff. We would have never lost the chip. We lost the chip industry. It's all coming back. And I do say this, Taiwan would be very smart to cool it a little bit. China would be very smart to cool it a little bit. They ought to both cool it.
On AI, was there any agreement about any kind of guardrails that China and the U.S. might agree to so that AI doesn't go crazy and take over the world?
Well, we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. Look, AI is mostly a great thing. Mostly. And we're leading China. We talked about that. We're leading China by a lot. I gave the right for AI to build their own electric producing plants. That's a big deal. They can manufacture their own electricity now, which we could never have gotten from the grid. And now you have these very rich companies headed by lots of geniuses building electric plants. Because of that, we are leading China by a lot in the AI race. Now, it's mostly the two of us. Other nations are in it, but mostly. And whoever wins the AI race, and we're going to win it. I mean, if we're smart, we're going to win it. If we're not smart, we're not. But we're leading by a lot. We talked about that last night. President Xi was very surprised at how well we've done with AI, because they thought, you know, when it started, they took this gigantic lead. And we now we are substantially ahead of them in AI.
But do you think there'll be some buy-in, set up guardrails or something?
I think there could be. We talked about it. But, you know, at the same time, we're competing. So it's a little hard to say, oh, gee, we're competing with each other and we're going to put guardrails. It really doesn't work that way too much. But AI, if you look at medicine, some of the things they're coming up with medicine, some of the cures they're coming up with that people would have never gotten there, it's going to be mostly a good thing, but we want to have some guardrails.
You said that the President Xi said he would offer assistance on Iran. And specifically,
I also said we don't need assistance.
You didn't ask for it. You said he was offering it specifically to open the Strait of Hormuz. What do you think he will do?
I think he's been very nice about it. He gets 40% of his oil there. He didn't send anybody. He didn't send ships. He didn't send ships with big fat guns on them that we would have had to repel. We would have. The good thing is I built, during my first 4 years, the most powerful military in the world. We have the most powerful military in the world. That was shown in Venezuela, which took 1 day. Actually took 48 hours. I mean, took, let's see, about 48 minutes. I think it was 48 minutes and 13 seconds, and it was over. And it's a strong country with a strong military, but it went very quickly. And now, by the way, we have made a fortune with their oil. And so they've made more money in the last 8 months than they've made in the last 10 years. And we're really, participating in the profit.
Venezuela, but obviously Iran is
it's a different kind of a thing. Yeah. But we're doing probably almost as well as I don't know how you can do better. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. It's all destroyed. Their Air Force is destroyed.
But yet they're talking a big game. They're at BRICS. Iran's foreign minister said the Strait is open to commercial shipping only if they cooperate with the Iranians.
They're not talking a big game. You know who's talking a big game? the fake news media. If you read the New York Times, you would think that we're losing militarily. Think of it. They have 159 ships. Every one is now on the bottom of the sea. Every one of them is gone. They had mine droppers. They call them mine droppers. Nice thing. Who has 22 mine droppers? The mine droppers are all gone. Now they have what they call fast boats. You know what they are? Runabouts, like you'd buy for your fantastic son if you wanted to buy him a nice boat, and they put a machine gun on it, okay? Most of them are knocked out. We knock them out just like we knock out the drug dealers.
You like to talk about cards. It seems like they're playing with a bad deck, to your point.
They have no deck.
But they're still playing.
No, the only thing they have going is a fake press. They know how well we're doing militarily. And then at the request of a very nice group of people from Pakistan who are very close to Iran, I didn't go that final. They said, could you stop? We're going to make a deal. And we really had the confines of a deal. No nuclear. They were going to give us the dust, nuclear dust, everything we wanted. And every time they make a deal, the next day it's like we didn't have that conversation. And that's taken place about 5 times. There's something wrong with them. Actually, they're crazy. And you know what? Because of that, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Because
the president of China agrees with you on that. And
he agrees with me on that. He agrees with me that he wants to see it end. He'd like to see it end. He would like to help if he wants to.
I mean, it's going to end, all right. All right, this is Proverbs 16:1. The preparations of the heart and man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Right, so the Lord is setting up everything that these people do. All right, everything that's in the mind is set up by the Lord. That's why, Lord's will, we be of the elect. The Lord has prepared us through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because we know that the Lord is preparing everything. He set up the righteous, and He's also set up the wicked. Right? Verse 2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Right? And these different heathen, they believe that, okay, they doing the right thing. They trying to, further their nation, further their life, their lifestyle. But ultimately, it's the Lord that set it all up. He's the one, and He's the one who has the elect of the nation of Israel. Bringing out the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Yes, so the Lord created Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, this devil, as a nation of men, women, and children. Right, the devil that the Bible speaks of, the self-proclaimed white man. Verse 5 says, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord, which not only includes Esau, Edom, it includes the other nations and 2/3 of Israel. It says, though hand join in hand, it shall not be unpunished. Yes, so even though they're coming together, they talking about what they're gonna do and joining forces, and it's gonna end in these other nations being punished. It says, by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. And by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. Right, and that's how you get that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And that's why you don't ever see the men of the Lord, starting with the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down. You don't ever see them in the hot seat for something, for something out of pocket or anything crazy. The scriptures call for us to be blameless. So as much as our enemies hate us, they know that ultimately we're not physically doing anything. We're speaking on the prophecies, but we're not like the 2/3, getting busy, quick to shed blood. We're waiting upon the Lord. Right? The Lord is going to avenge us. Lord's will we be of the elect. It says better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. So it's better to be in this truth. Be the meek, the humble, the lowly, right? Rather than to have all these things, because you got all these $1 million niggas that don't have the truth. Right? You could have, $200 million. You could have $1 billion. Right? But if you don't have this truth, you poor, right? It says a man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directed his steps. So once again, the Lord causes everybody to think, the way they think. Okay, the heathen in his pride, that's because the Lord set it up that way. Lord's will, the Lord is directing our steps, us being of the elect, Lord's will. It says a divine sentence. It's like in Proverbs 16:10 says, a divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. Yeah, so the good, the bad, the ugly, it's all the doing of the Lord. Alright, and us bringing up this judgment, us bringing up what's going to happen and take place. Okay, we not going off by saying that this place is going to be destroyed. Alright, 2/3 of Israel is going to be destroyed, as we get into the scriptures. Alright, because we bringing out the words of the Lord. They can't get mad at us because because these are proclamations of judgment. These different precepts that we read, this judgment ringing out. It says, Proverbs 16:12, it is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. Right? So when you go off, that's committing wickedness. When you're going against the Lord, the Lord's words, the law, statutes, and commandments, what the Lord has set up, right? It says, righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speaketh right. Right, according to the scriptures. Right, so if you're not speaking to the, according to the scriptures, then the light isn't in you, just like the scriptures speak about, roughly paraphrasing. And we know that there's no light in these people, man. Right, the only light that's shining forth is the light that comes from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We know that everybody else is just speaking nonsense. Right, like you got T-Dog in the interview, he just speaking nonsense. Right. Proverbs 16:14, I'm in the video. It says the wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. And the light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is as a cloud of the latter rain. That's the Lord's will. We get the Lord's favor, and he sends that cloud, he sends that chariot to save us. Lord's will, we be of the elect, right? Because we it's our desire to be of the elect. We have to be of the elect to be saved, right? That's the only way to be saved, is to be the elect of the nation of Israel. And the Lord, the Lord is going to guide us, okay, and then eventually physically beam us up. All right, no matter what they say, no matter what the heathen says, no matter what these niggas, 2/3 niggas say, the elect gonna be beamed up. The elect are gonna be saved out of this shit show, which is Babylon the Great, aka America. This bitch gonna be destroyed. All right, all the other nations are gonna gather around about and destroy this damn place, man. We can't wait now. Of course, we know that the CHIP has to come about, in which T-Dog was speaking about them different chips, Taiwan making chips, which I'm pretty sure, the production of the C-HIP, these different C-HIPs, which they've been producing for years and years, Taiwan is probably producing a whole lot of those, so they need that partnership, because they got to roll out this digital system, this digital currency, which they're gonna have that C-HIP. Let's get that. Alright, this is Revelation 13. Go straight to the point. Revelation 13:16. And he causeth all. Alright, Esau Edom causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So it's going to get to a point where if you don't have that C-HIP, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. And this is that system that they're setting up, that these different back and forth. A lot of this is a distraction. These different, meetings are just distractions, because they're pushing towards a NWO, a New World Order, right? And that C-HIP is part of that New World Order. Right, these skirmishes, these proxy wars, mini wars, these different psyops, right? Yet the elect is going to be fooled, right? The elect is going to understand what happens, what's happening, all the way until the end, man. Lord's will, we be of the elect. We can clearly see what's taking place and what's going on, and why, okay, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We're going to continue to watch, we're going to continue to be the watchman, okay, watching for prophecy, watching what's happening next, and continuing to, lift up our voice like a trumpet, like the scriptures say, cry loud, spare not. So we ain't gonna spare the feelings of these heathens. We ain't gonna spare the feelings 2/3 of Israel. We ain't gonna spare the feelings of ourselves, right? We ain't got no feelings. We don't feel no certain way about you heathens perishing. Okay, the different things that are going on. That's prophecy. That's what's supposed to happen now. That's what's supposed to happen. These other nations, they're fighting, bickering, belly aching, going back and forth, stealing, robbing each other. That's supposed to happen. We not gonna sit here and say, okay, we all gotta come together. No, we don't need to do that. All right, the Lord calls us for His people to be separate. That's why Lord's will we be of the elect. We are separate. Okay, we're at the top. Okay, looking down on these people now, judging them, right? Judging the heathen, pointing at them, calling them out, saying, okay, y'all ain't shit, y'all ain't right. Okay, and ultimately you going into captivity, going into slavery. That's coming right around the corner, man. All right, this CHIP is coming right around the corner. All right, we got our eyes on the CHIP, all hands on deck, right? Pushing forward because we know, hey, this coming right around the corner. We could see the CHIP get presented, this year, man. Or will we see it presented this year? If not this year, the next year, man. And we're going to continue to pray for that. We're going to continue to look for that, look towards, okay, prophecy. Okay, prophecy dictates that, okay, the Revelation 13:16, that's going to come to pass soon. So we waiting on that, along with other prophecies. Yet this is, one of the main indicators that we right around the corner from this. The MOTB is OTW, man. Alright, so with that, Lord's will, you're edified. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Once again, double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well and teach well, taught us His truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Barakathum to you brothers. Can we ride around the corner, man? They, even though they going from country to country and shaking hands and dapping each other up and talking about coming together, we know that the exact opposite is happening. Esau Edom is a fucking liar. Along with these other nations, they're liars as well. 2/3 of Israel liars. Right, and they're trying to spin this web and this illusion that everything is, peachy. Yet we know what's truly going on. Alright. We can see this place circling down the drain. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Ha'arakwadash. Baba Ball and Kwame Ashrada. Shalom.